Hello, everybody, and welcome to my podcast, Fear Fighter. I am your host, Shannan Mondor. Today's episode is a continuation of my series, You Are Not the Only One. I was brought forth to do this series because during my healing from my addiction to alcohol, there were so many times that the universe had brought me to silence. And during those times is when I learned so many things about myself, and I was guided. I was guided to talk openly about my past, my abuse, my addiction, and to speak my truth. From those moments of silence is when we learn, we grow, and then we teach and we help others. Today, I have a very special guest by the name of Maureen Bandas, and she is here to share her story. So welcome, Maureen.
Hi, Shannan. It's so great to be here. It's just an honor to be on your podcast. Thank you so much for the invitation.
I'm so glad that you're here too. We had a little meet and greet here about a week or so ago, and we just really clicked. And so I was very excited to have you come on my show. So thank you very much. So let's get started. So if you can tell us how you were brought to your stillness.
That's a great question. Yeah, it actually happened for me from a car accident. I actually was involved in a rollover in 2006, which was 17 years ago. And it really shifted a lot inside of me. And what I found is that once you're awoken, you can't go back to sleep. And when I look back on my life and I just look back and see all the times that what's been going on in my life, I just this rollover really changed who I was. I'm an accountant by trade. I'm actually retired now, which is great. I worked for the federal government for so many years, but I also did healing work on the side. And I built this business for the past 17 years. I got into energy healing, and I started off as an angel card reader. And back Bonnie Bogner was actually my first teacher, and she's amazing.
And I do have to say, I have taken courses previously with Bonnie back in the days in Regina when I lived in Weyburn. So wonderful lady. Yeah, yes. Absolutely wonderful lady.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. So I took this class with her, but I couldn't even tell my husband though what I was doing. I told him I was going to a women's conference because I was so shy and I didn't know what this all meant. Like I didn't know what the spiritual world meant, but I had this calling inside of me from that rollover. It just something lit up inside of me that is so hard to explain, so hard to put in words. Other than when I was going up in the hill, we live in the valley. I live in Fort Capel, Saskatchewan, and I was going up the hill. It was in March, and I got to the top of the hill, and all of a sudden there's this great big sheet of ice, and I couldn't stop. And I knew I had to let go of the wheel. And I was so mad at God that I was going to die in a ditch. I was just so mad, and I was leaving my family. But when I was in the air, I could just feel this beautiful light come through my whole entire body. And I just felt so at peace, and I felt so calm, and I wasn't mad anymore. I was just filled up with all this energy that is just incredible feeling. It's so hard to put in words. Other than unconditional love, I guess would be the closest word to put to that. And when I landed, I think I flipped twice. I know once for sure. I'm pretty sure it was twice. But when I landed on the ground, my vehicle was all mangled up. The windows were broken. And I said, holy shit, I'm still here. Like I was just in shock that I made that I survived that rollover. And yeah, so it just ignited me. It just ignited something inside of me that I couldn't go back to sleep. That was actually my awakening moment. And Bonnie Bogner was so instrumental in helping me understand about the spiritual realm, about the angels, the archangels, about our spirit guides, about this other existence that's out there that I never really knew about because I was so black and white. Being an accountant, everything was black and white for me, and I had to have evidence for this and evidence for that. But this spiritual world and this energy healing and that light that I felt in that rollover, it was like a time. It was my stillness, and it was my moment of change. It was my moment to come out and be who I am and what I'm here to do. So yeah, I'm so grateful for Bonnie for that.
Can I ask you something?
Mm-hmm.
During that process of the whole rollover, and you could, feel the light, feel the energy, feel the presence, feel the love. I've heard from several people that when something like that happens, it's like they're totally in slow motion. Was that your experience as well?
Exactly. I love that you mentioned that. It just felt like I was going into a different space in time. It was like I was up in the air, but I felt like I wasn't moving. Like people get sore from rollovers from the seatbelt. I never had any of that. Like it was just like I was in that space and I was just totally glued to my chair. And I know now that was my guardian angel. It was my guardian angel that saved me that day, because that's what they do, is they will save you when it's not your time to cross over. And her name was Rebecca. And
That's your spirit guide?
that's
Is
my
Rebecca?
that's my yeah, my
Okay.
guardian angel. Yeah.
Okay.
And she just kept me in that chair, and nothing like the people that picked me up, seeing the vehicle, they seen how batched up it was, and they wanted to take me to the hospital. And I said, no, I'm good. I just need to go home. I just need to rest. That's all I need. But I could have had internal bleeding. I don't know. But
Right.
all I knew is that I just wanted to go home. And then when I look back at it, it's just that time was it. I just had to discover, like, who was I now? Like I became this different person, and I didn't understand who I was. So I went to that workshop with Bonnie. She came to Fort Capel, and there was 12 ladies. We got together. We did angel card readings together. And I couldn't tell my husband, because I thought he'd think I was crazy. What are you doing, Maureen? Going to angel card readings? Who are you? So I was after that awakening, I was into this discovery stage where I needed to find out, is there other people like that out there, like me? Did anybody else experience this kind of near-death experience? Like I've never experienced that before. Like I didn't understand that, but I do have a story to share about that too. But I went into discovery stage, and I started reading books. I started listening to the late Wayne Dyer, Anita Majani. I read her book, Dying to Be Me. That was such an amazing book. She talks about the fear that was inside of her. She actually had cancer, and was all her fear-based thinking that she believes that created the cancer inside of her. And I read her book, and I just was so, she's gone through this, like she's gone through this near death experience. So I learned a lot from her and her book. And Doreen Virtue was another mentor of mine. So I watched videos, I read books, and I went to workshops, and I needed to know who I was. So I started off doing angel card readings for, I don't know, for about 7 years, up into 2013. And then another thing really happened, another awakening happening. I was at Sedona, Arizona for a spiritual conference, and my dad had just passed in October of 2013, and my conference was at the end of October. And I wasn't going to go, but I thought, Dad would want me to go. He would really want me not to change anything. And he totally understood the spirituality that was inside of me, because my grandmother, his mother, was actually a tea leaf reader. So
cool.
yeah, so that was cool. And he was going to tell me more about her, but he had passed on before we had that discussion. But at least I found out that's probably why I was connected to these angel cards, was because my grandma was doing it in the past.
Well,
So
and like him not telling you any sooner, I do the Yuan method and Reiki also, and I've done angel card readings in the past also, and that was in the early 2000s. And people, even back then, that was taboo. Like that, like people didn't talk about that, because everybody would get freaked out. But now it's so, I am finding more and more and more people that are starting to come into their spirituality. It's becoming a normal thing now, so I could definitely see why your father did not come out and speak to you openly about that prior, for sure.
exactly. Yeah.
Do you feel the same way, Maureen?
Yeah, I do. Because
Yeah.
I was doing angel card readings for 7 years, and he never mentioned anything until like probably a couple of months before he passed on, is when he actually opened up and told me about her, and that he did this. And I said, well, thank you, Dad, for telling me. And we're actually going to have coffee and talk about more about it, but that never happened. So
Yeah, that's
too
bad.
Yeah, but at least I know now.
Right.
And yeah. And so I went to this conference in Arizona, Sedona. It was a spiritual awakening conference, and we had to go there with an intention. So I went the intention that I wanted to learn whatever I could so I could share it with people, because I was going to start teaching. I was starting to get out there and start teaching all the stuff that I've been learning for the past 7 years. I wanted to do a class. So I went to this workshop. And then when my dad passed, I changed, or I added to my intention that I want to know, like, is my dad in heaven? Is he with the angels? Is he with God? Is he with like, where is he? Where is his spirit? And intuitively I knew he was okay, but I wanted proof. So I added that to my intention. And so we get to this conference, and Doreen Virtue was having a fairy walk. So I decided to take it with her, and we were taking pictures, and I could hear these cricket noises, and what is that? I couldn't see the fairies, but I could hear them. So I asked Doreen's husband, Michael, I asked him, so, I keep hearing these noises. And he goes, well, what is it, Maureen? I said, it's these cricket noises. And he goes, well, Maureen, you're hearing the fairies. Wow. I said, I'm hearing the fairies. So that's when I got my camera. I was taking pictures all over wherever I could hear them. And I actually got some really neat pictures, Shannan.
And I do want to add to that. So when me and Maureen were talking like last week, we had got on this topic a little bit, and this is for my audience members to know this. She actually sent me a couple pictures of these fairies with it, and it's amazing. Like, they're these little teeny tiny balls of light within these photos. And when this is all posted, and I want you, Maureen, to actually, in the comments with this podcast is out, that you put these pictures in the comments underneath so people can actually see what you've seen, because I was so amazed by those photos. And yeah, because of course I believe in fairies and all that too, right? But like that would have been an amazing experience all on its own.
Oh, it was. You're just giving me goosebumps already, because it was just an incredible journey just to go to that workshop.
And could everybody see those fairies?
There was a lot of intuitive people. They were seeing them. Yeah, they were taking pictures. And one lady had a fairy on her mouth. You could actually see. I think that was one of the pictures I showed you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's just so cool. Yeah.
So cool. Yeah. People could feel them. They, depending on your clairs, like whatever clair that you had the most. Right. Like, I could hear them. I couldn't see them, but I could hear them at that time. And but people were seeing them. They were seeing the lights, like in broad daylight. They were seeing those lights in the trees that I showed you. So it's just incredible. And yeah, so, and then I started taking pictures of the clouds, because I love clouds. Like, if people that follow me, I show them lots of cloud pictures. I live by the lake, so I'm always taking pictures of the clouds and the water and the sunsets. And I just love nature. Like, it's so beautiful. There's just so much out there that we can see, and that can help us with so much. So I started taking pictures of the clouds, and I got this picture, which I can also post in the comments. It's got a picture of Archangel Michael. He was on the left side. And then we have there was also Jesus in the middle. And then my dad was on the right-hand side. He was in a little sailor suit, because he loved water.
You gotta post that.
He loved fishing. Yeah. So it's so cool. And I don't know why my hand is up.
Oh, that's okay.
I don't even know how to put it down.
You're just waving at me. That's okay.
I'm just waving at you. Yeah. Yeah. So then that was I got both of my intentions for that conference or that workshop were fulfilled. I learned a lot of skills to bring back to teach people. I did my first class, and it was so incredible when I did my first class about the angels and the archangel and our spirit guides. And I've been teaching ever since 2013. And then that picture of my dad just gave me confirmation that he's in heaven, because I needed that validation, because my dad was in residential school in Lacrosse in Saskatchewan, and he didn't believe in God because they took that out of him.
I'm so sorry. So
it gave me validation that he's with the angels, he's with God, and that he's okay. And that's what I needed. And it helped me do the work that I'm doing now, because I know what it's like to not have that belief of that connection with God or the universe, that higher power. When you don't have that belief, you don't know who you are if you don't have that spirit. You don't know who you are if you don't have that spiritual connection. So it just made me so proud and so happy that God showed me that picture of my dad being with him and the angels. So I'll never forget that trip. It was just a turning point. There was another awakening for me, and it was just so incredible. So that's like, once you discover who you are, everything is just life changing. You see the world differently. You you're not the same person when you're awoken, and when you start discovering who you are, you become this different person. And
Absolutely. It's, yeah,
yeah.
and that's what a lot of people don't understand. And for those of us that have come into our own and have found our spirit and the light within us and our power within us, is, yes, it's about us healing, but it's also about healing others. But we also know too that by helping others, because we will heal for the rest of our lives, because we are human.
Mm-hmm.
And by doing the work that we do, that's what raises our vibration to go get to the next level, the next level, the next level. So we're healing ourselves by helping others.
Definitely.
And that's the greatest gift that God can give us, but also for us to recognize within ourselves, you know. So it's amazing. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, so it was such a beautiful gift. And just to meet Doreen, my mentor of so many years, was just incredible. She just has a beautiful energy, and I just love her even to this day. I was a little bit upset that how she changed, but that's her journey. That's who she is. I'll still love her for what she taught me, and she gave me the support that I needed. She was one of my biggest mentors. She made it okay for me to be me, because it was really hard for me to open up back then. It was really hard until 2013. That's when, oh, I don't care anymore. I don't care what people think about me. I'm going to be me, and I'm going to do whatever I want, and nobody's going to stop me. So that kind of takes me into the third phase that I went into, which is allowance. Allowance without judgment. I didn't judge who I was anymore. I just believe that I'm here to help others. I'm here to help whatever way. I'm a vessel. And I always wake up in the morning. I always say, thank you, thank you, thank you. How may I serve? That's by late Wayne Dyer. He used to always wake up that way. So I learned that from him. So I say that every morning to the universe, to God, to Creator. Thank you, thank you, thank you. How may I serve? And it just opens up my energy, just opens up my being to serve, to be an allowance, and to share my gifts with other people, because there's so many people that need somebody to talk to, and it may not be, they've gone down the counseling route, and that's okay. Like, that's okay, but they know that there's something bigger in life. There's something more bigger than what's in their life. So they'll come to me for a card reading, or they'll come to me for a healing, or they'll come to me for just support,
And sometimes it's just to come to you for confirmation that what they're feeling or thinking really is what they're feeling and thinking.
Exactly. Yeah, because a lot of times when you're doing the spiritual work, you think you're making it up. And
Right.
for the longest time,
Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
longest time, I would just think, oh, Maureen, this is crazy. What are you doing? And that's why I hid myself for many years. Like, I would do card readings for people that I knew, and family members, and I slowly started getting into trade shows and started opening up. But it wasn't until 2013 where I just, okay, I'm just doing it. That's when I started taking classes. I started taking more training. I became a theta healer. I became a hypnotherapist. I became an access consciousness facilitator. I'm a Reiki master. I teach classes, and I love teaching. I love when my students come. It's just like they're healers, and they're all wanting to learn how to use these gifts that were given to them by God, and that's just so fulfilling and so rewarding that I can do that. So I don't judge anymore. I'm just in that total allowance, and I just go, which is the fourth stage I'm in now, is going with the flow. I just go with the flow. Whatever happens that day, I know it's been divinely guided. Even when people will book a session with me, I know they've been divinely guided to come to see me somehow. Like, there's somehow. And I have a lot of friends that when I took my training, they would tap me on the shoulder and say, Maureen, come and take this with me. And then I wouldn't even second guess it. Okay, I'll go.
Yeah.
This is interesting. I need to go to that. So yeah, it's just, when I look back, it's just it's just incredible, this journey that I've been on, and I'm just so happy that I'm able to help other people. But I do want to mention, Shannon, is that even that rollover, when I had that light come through me, that happened again to me when I was in my 20s. We were coming back from Saskatoon, and I was driving, my husband was beside me, and my daughter was in the back seat. And all of a sudden, I seen all these sparks in the rear view mirror, and it was our rear end actually fell out of our car. So we were just dragging down the highway, and my husband looked at me and he said, "Be calm, dear." And the moment he said that, it was like this energy, that same energy that went through me, my whole body with the rollover, went through my hands. And all of a sudden, we just slowly went to the side, and we just slowly stopped. The guy that picked us up behind, he said, "I thought for sure you guys were goners." That's how bad it looked. Like we had sparks all over the place. I don't even know how we stopped.
Wow.
I don't even know how we stopped, because we had no brakes. So I don't even know how the car stopped, but it
Well,
did.
you wouldn't have had any back tires either, would you
No, the whole thing fell right out. Like we were just dragging. It was just
have?
metal
Oh
on the
my,
highway. I know, we were going
that
like,
is like to actually
yeah,
have another vehicle see that, they must have been thinking, okay, what a freak show.
exactly, exactly. Yeah, and it was like in January. I remember it was winter too. So thank goodness we had that person
Well, you
pick
got
us up.
something with winter accidents
I
happening,
think so.
girl,
I think so.
right?
I got a pattern going on there. Yeah.
No, well, you delete, delete, delete. You're not delete,
Yes, delete, cancel, delete, cancel,
delete.
delete, cancel, delete.
Yeah.
Yeah. So but I remember telling people like Jesus took over the wheel. Like, but that was another time my guardian angel saved us. It was another time. She came through in my hands, and Rebecca, brought us to safety. And I'll never forget that. Like, it's just like all these things when you start looking back of how you on your journey, like that was an awakening time, but I didn't wake up. I still went along my life, and I wish I would have woke up in my 20s, because my life would be different, I'm sure, by now, but I'm still happy with it. But I do want to also say that there's also another really awakening time when I was 6 years old. From the time I was 6 to 8, I actually had tuberculosis, and I actually had to go to Saskatoon in the sanatorium for 2 years. And I remember when they came to get me, I wasn't afraid. I wasn't scared. I wasn't crying. I wasn't fighting them to stay at home. I was just this calm little girl. And now I know when I look back at it, it was Rebecca, my guardian angel. She was protecting me for those whole 2 years, because nobody could visit you back then. It was like we were quarantined.
Wow.
So
Oh, you never got to
yeah,
see your mom and dad? Like, how did that work?
no, they came, but I could see them I remember that I seen them, watching them outside the window. Like they would come, and I would look out the window and wave at them, and
Oh,
that's about it. Yeah. But I remember, yeah, like I remember bits and parts of it, but back then, because TB is germs, like it's a
mm,
bacteria. It's bacteria, and it can be given to other people by, coughing and whatever. So kind of like the virus, I guess, but people can get it. And back then the medication isn't as good as it now. Like if you're not medicated, you can actually die from it too. So I really believe that was my connection with the angels. Even back then I had that connection, because I wasn't scared. Like I remember not being scared when I was in the hospital. I was just at peace all the time, and it just felt like like when I look back at it, she was probably protecting me back then. And so those are the three major awakenings that I had to who I am now. And to bring me to my stillness is my guardian angel. Rebecca is the one that helped me with everything, and she's still helping me.
you know what I really find with other people that I have interviewed is for those of us that are into spirituality and that are helping others to heal, it's almost like we're being groomed throughout our whole entire life. And what brought that into my mind was when you said when you were a child and you had the tuberculosis, and you can remember back now, because I can even look back to my younger years of I was always amazed with spirituality of some sort. I fascinated with card readings, psychics, all of that type of stuff, even from such a young age. Like I'm going to be 54 in a week. And for that back, in the early 70s, and to be exposed, or to be like, where would I have learned that from? That's something within me that I was being called for, to be, I guess, groomed, that I would be doing in my future. And that pretty much sums it up for you too, just by your stories. And
Yeah,
isn't that
exactly.
fascinating? That is so fascinating.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, for sure.
And to
Well,
have
that's
that self-awareness that we can look back and be like, yes, like I know that I'm on my path. You know that you're on your right path.
yes. Yeah, and it just feels right, and life just becomes easier
It
and
does.
more joyful. And
Yes.
the abundance that comes into my life
Mhm.
is just like, it's so incredible. I'm just so
Mhm.
grateful that I'm able to do this work and not worry about anything like that anymore. It's just like, it's just so incredible. But you're right, like uh we we are on this journey, and they do get our attention to live our life purpose, because I get a lot of people that ask, like, why am I here, Maureen? What's my purpose? Like, I need help with that. And I always tell them, you're here to be you. You're
Mhm.
here to well, what is that, Maureen? It's, well, listen to your inside of you. You have the answers inside of you. What did you
Mhm.
like to do when you were a kid? Like, what did you like doing? Like, I know for me, we used to like playing grocery store when we were
Grocery
younger.
store. That's so cute.
I used to love handling money.
Oh,
Should have been a banker, but yeah.
well, that's why you became an accountant.
I guess so. Must be. See, that's it.
Oh,
So you really got to look at what did you do when you were younger? Like, what gave you joy in your life? Like, when we were kids, we didn't have to think. We just did things that were fun, and
right.
we used our imagination. And that's why I tell people is, like, what makes you laugh? Like, what makes you happy? And that's your purpose. That's what you're here to do. Is once you can find that joy and what makes you laugh and what makes you happy, that's your purpose, and start pursuing it. I've helped mentored so many spiritual people, so many healers, and they're just afraid to open up, because even though, like, in the 70s, yeah, it wasn't acceptable, but even now it's still not totally acceptable. There's still naysayers out there, and we'll always have that. We've always had them in every century, so we're always going to have naysayers. uh, but they're afraid what their family's going to think. They're
And
afraid what people, co-workers, are going to think. Like, it's just sad. And
that is
they're
so
so
sad
gifted.
that people are not living their life purpose or going forward because they're so worried about being judged. But it doesn't matter. I know from experience. Oh my gosh, right? Like, I was judged when, I drank. I'm now then I'm judged because now I don't drink. I'm judged now because I'm trying to help others. Like, who does she think she is? Like, I'll tell you, I know exactly who I am, and that's the greatest gift. The problem is you don't know who you are because you're the one that's doing all the judging.
Mm-hmm.
Because once you're in the position of healing, and it doesn't matter, we're always going to judge because we're human. That's just always going to be there. But really, it boils down to the level of judgment,
Mm-hmm.
is how I look at it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, and it's but that's the thing. All of us, every single one of us, have that potential within us inside. That is our gift from God to have that's what our tuition is all about. We've all got that gift inside of us. We to help heal. We heal ourselves, but you can also do it to heal others. It's just whether or not you decide that you want to tap into it.
Exactly. Yeah, we all have that innate ability to do
Yeah.
that. We all have that connection to God, to the universe, the great spirit, whatever you believe in, whatever your belief system
Totally.
is, that higher power is there to help us with everything, our own life. And if you want to help others, you can. But I find uh, the best thing is just not to overthink it. It's our mind that just takes us away from our natural and intuitive abilities when we think too much. If we just go with the flow and just listen to our body, just listen to that intuition, that inner knowing, our life can be changed. It can be the happiness that we've been looking for. And then our relationships change, our financial situation changes, our everything changes. Like, the way we look at the world, the way we want to, like, I know for me, I love animals, especially dogs, and I want to save the planet, so I'm very careful and what I use. Like, I try and not use chemicals in my home, and like, I don't use chemicals on my body or my hair, and like, I'm just so more aware of how I can contribute to the world, so it's a safe place for next generation. So being spiritual, you just become more connected to nature, more connected to animals, more connected to just that loving spirit that we all have inside of us.
And you've grown into that person that you were meant to be.
Exactly. And
You
we
know,
all can do it. We all can do
absolutely.
it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No
And
no
it's just,
question.
yeah, no question.
So out of everything that you've experienced so far, what is it that really sticks out for you? What is it that you learned the most?
Hmm. The thing that I learned the most is to be yourself. To be yourself. You're the only person on this planet. There's nobody else like you. There's nobody like you at all. We all think differently. We all have different emotions, and we all have a different way of dealing with situations. Like we're so unique and we're so magnificent. If we could just realize how powerful we are, and don't change yourself. There's nothing wrong with you. Like I've learned that there's nothing wrong with me. I always had to be in control of everything. And now it's like, Maureen, you don't need to control that. Just let it happen. And I just learned to be more still, to be more compassionate, to be more loving, to accept people for who they are, truly accept them without judgment. And everybody has an opinion. Yeah, that's fine. If, you know, that's their opinion. I can't change that. And I don't want to change that. That's their journey. That's who they are. And they're here to do whatever they need to do. And so that's the biggest thing, is just be yourself. You're unique. You're the only one on this planet but like you. So don't change you, because you are here to be you.
And that's what people really need to understand is you don't want to be like anybody else. You know,
No.
like for years, I was a chameleon because I wanted to be like everybody else. I didn't, and now it's like, oh gosh, I'm so glad I am me.
Mhm.
I'm me. And if you don't like me, that's okay, but I like me.
I'm
I'm
so
me. Yes.
yay! I'm the same way. Exactly. If you don't like me, that's fine. I'll just move on and I'll just do whatever I need to do to, yeah, because we're all trying to be accepted by somebody. We're always trying to be accepted in relationships. We want to be accepted in our jobs. We want to be accepted in everything that we do. You know, we all have to get this approval from somebody, but we don't. We don't need that approval. As long as you have your spirit, and as long as you have that, you believe in that higher power, and you work out of the pureness of your heart and the purest of love, your life will be so fulfilling. And you don't need to be like that other person. You have so many gifts to offer this world, and we need those gifts. So you need to get out there and you need to do your purpose, and don't worry what other people think, because at the end of the day, it's not going to matter.
No.
It's not going to matter what you have in your bank account. It's not going to matter what you have as friends or relationships or material things. And at the end of the day, it's just your spirit, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. You've had a lot of experiences. You've, talked with many, many people, weekly, monthly, with your clientele and everything else. And so what is it that you want others to know? What is the most important thing that you want others to know?
Yes. The thing that I was thinking about this, there's so much, but the biggest thing is be the gift you are.
Mm-hmm.
Be the gift you are. And that's what I've learned from Access Consciousness. Dr. Dane here talks about that. Be the gift that you are. And I just love that so much, because his story is incredible. He was suffering with depression. He's a chiropractor. He was suffering with depression, and his chiropractic business wasn't doing well. His relationships weren't doing well, and he picked a date when he was going to commit suicide. And he just said, "That's it. I'm out of here. I don't want nothing to do with this anymore." So what happened is that he's seen an ad in the paper for to have an Access Consciousness bars session done, and it was actually done by the Shannan lady that he had it done with, which is Gary's daughter, and Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Consciousness. And he went to this session, and she told him, she said, the worst thing that can happen is that you'll get the best head massage ever, and the greatest thing that can happen is that your life will change. And guess what? His life changed. He is now a sought out motivational speaker for over 170 some countries. and his life
Wow.
has totally changed. So yeah, Dr. Dane here, he's an amazing speaker, motivational speaker. He's turned his life around. And that's what he says, be the gift you are. So if anything of all what I've talked about today, just remember you are a gift, and you're here to be you.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I agree 100%. So we're getting to the closing now of this interview. And is there any final words, Maureen, that you would like to share with our audience?
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking about that too. I love that you gave me the questions ahead of time, because there's so much over the years that I've learned from my students. Yeah.
These are
Like
thinking questions. These are thinking
they
questions.
are thinking
Oh,
questions.
like, we're
Yeah.
here for a purpose. So I'm going to
Yeah.
draw that purpose out of everyone that I interview, right? And
Yeah.
that's why you're here, is to share, so.
Exactly. Yeah. And I guess the thing that what came to me is that, I've learned so much from my students. They have shaped me to who I am. Like, they have given me so much in my life that I'm so grateful for them, and my clients as well. But the one thing is that, we really need to really get into our heart space. We really need to really find that love inside of us, because that's what's going to help us live this joyful life, because we're not here to suffer. Honest to goodness, we're not here to suffer. Those
No,
are lessons that we're learning. If there's something that's, nothing's right, nothing's wrong. It's just, they're just lessons. It's just energy. So just know that when you come from that heart space and there's love in that heart space, there's great things that can happen. And also that you can be who you want to be. It's just a matter of making those choices, because our life is created by the choices that we made. Even though I had tuberculosis, I probably made a choice in a former life to experience that, to be away from my family for 2 years. I made that choice. Even though I was only 6 years old, I made that choice. I
yeah,
also made that choice when I had that rollover. And I made the choice when I had, well, the car accident, or when the rear end fell out. Like, I made all those choices, and everything in my life, I've made that choice. So, people think that, oh, whatever happens is meant to be. No, I used to think that way. It's not meant to be. You are creating your life by your choices.
absolutely. And then
Bottom
that's
line.
where the different laws of the universe come in, like cause and effect. And, there's so many laws out there. I'm in the process of studying them all now. And it's so true. But another thing that I really want people that are listening to the podcast know is that when you really get to know who you are, and you are going to agree with this 100%, the fear that you have within inside you, it's not there anymore. There is a little bit of fear on some degree, but the fear that you held within yourself before, it's not like that anymore. And that's where you really start to come into your power, because you don't have that fear to stop you anymore. And when you do start to feel that fear, it's like, okay, why is this popping up? What is it within me, this insecurity within me, that I have to overcome? That's my indication that I got to push forward. That's me saying, like, you go, girl, because something is trying to stop you that you are meant to do. And you will agree with that 100%, I know. So yeah.
Exactly, 100%. Yeah, because fear holds us back.
Totally.
That fear-based thinking holds us back to be who we are.
And fear is a delusion.
Mm-hmm.
It is an absolute delusion, right?
Yes. Yes.
I see that within my children, and I'm like, oh man, like, you got to just get out there, like, don't let this stop you. This is stopping you from opening up a whole new different world that's just waiting for you. Like, crash through it, girl, or my son, or whatever. It's just like, you get going out there, right? So
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's definitely fear-based thinking has really held people back. It held me back too, for coming out of the spiritual closet. Like, it held me back for many years, because I didn't understand it. That was the biggest thing. So thank goodness for mentors like Bonnie Bogner. I'm so
Oh yeah.
grateful for her, because she helped me open up to my spiritual side. And I haven't been able to close it ever since. And I'm so grateful for that, because I wouldn't be where I am right now if it wasn't for my spiritual teachings. I would not be here right now. I don't know where I would be.
And that's the exact same thing with me. I have a spiritual coach. I've got different mentors, And they are my lifeline for sure, because they understand me and I understand them. And that's how I've grown to where I've gotten to be. You know, and it the universe provides you with everything that you need at you know, any particular time, if you are willing to receive. And
Exactly.
yeah, it's amazing.
It's amazing.
Questions here now. So if someone wanted to get a hold of you, Maureen, how would they go about, like, what are you on Facebook? Are you on Instagram? You know, your business, like, let's talk a little bit about that, you know.
Okay, for sure. Yeah, so I'm actually, my business name is Angel Spiritual Connections, and I have a Facebook page, I have Instagram, and I'm just working on a website right now with a very intuitive lady. She's been doing a lot of my posters for my events, for my health expos. So she's going to actually help design my website, and that'll be angelspiritualconnections.ca. I should get that probably about 3 months. I should get that up and running. My email is angelspiritualconnections@gmail.com. Also, if you Google me, you'll see me popping up all over. I'm Google my name, Maureen Bandas, and you'll see that. But I'm based out of Fort Capel, Saskatchewan. But I do also travel to surrounding communities to do in-person sessions. But I do a lot of sessions remotely, especially with COVID and everything. I was doing everything basically remotely, but so I can do that as well.
Okay. And just to let everybody know too, that all of Maureen's information will be posted in the notes in the podcast too. And also on Facebook, all that information is going to be there too. So yeah.
Perfect.
Well, thank you so much. Oh yes. Okay, let's talk about this little book here of yours.
Yes, she just popped up here. She said, "Maureen, you forgot to talk about me."
We actually forgot about that, didn't we?
Yeah. Well, there's so much. There's so much.
Let's do it.
So I published this book. It's on Amazon, and all the beautiful pictures. Isabella's angel is drawn by my niece, who is hearing impaired, and she did all the illustrations for me, and she's very gifted. And her name is Alanda McLeod, and she drew all of the pictures in here. They're just incredible. So it's a story about an 8-year-old girl that gets connected to her guardian angel, and she talks to her mom, and her grandmother helps her understand what her guardian angel is there to do, is to love and protect her and to keep her safe. So it's just a book for parents to help their children if they're opening up to their gifts and they're not sure how to approach it, or the child's not sure how to mention it, and not go. This book really helps, because sometimes parents will take them to the doctor, give them medication, but really it's their spiritual gifts that are opening up. And I've been mentoring a young girl that actually she almost passed over. She's a medium, and I've been seeing her since she's 6 years old, and she's 16 years old now. And this little book here can help children with those gifts so that they're not medicated. And it gives us, the parents, an understanding too, that guardian angels are real, and they're there to protect and to help our children, especially our gifted children. And all children are gifted. All children have gifts.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So it just helps them open up a discussion what angels are and what they're there to do.
Right.
For them.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. And I can't believe we almost forgot your little book there. We got chatting too much. And
she just popped up.
Yeah. So this was such a great interview, and I thank you. And I am blessed to have you on my podcast. So thank you so much for being a part of my journey. I learned so much from you and from all my guests that I have on here, and I just love what I'm doing. So thank you so much for being a part of it.
Oh, I'm so honored to be here, Shannon. I had so much fun. Like you said, it's like having coffee with you, and that's exactly what it's like. So thank you so much.
And I love the fact that I'm connecting with people all over the world now. That's amazing, because Zoom, what the best thing ever invented. Let me tell you, boy. So and that's about it, you know, people helping people, right?
Exactly.
So, okay, well,
thank you so much.
Yeah, you have a wonderful day. Thank you.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.